I haven't got time to mark this motherfucker. Here we go again. We can't hear anybody. Nobody can talk to anybody.
You guessed it, Pressure Points with your two favorite hosts. I'm D, and this is Dune Boy AJ. We're coming at you with Season 7, Episode 13, the Triangle Shirtwaist Disaster. Jesus. Just listen. Find us on Instagram, Patreon, and our website, pointsopressure.com. Get ready, baby.
Well, turn the fucking thing off, you dumbass.
I guess you're falling asleep too.
No,
halftime?
It's because when I told you the name of the episode, I was like, oh, the textile shirtwaist disaster, but it's Triangle Shirtwaist Disaster. Say it fast. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's a
It also
lot.
has nothing to do with the Ambien I crushed up in your drink before this.
Hey, I mean, it works.
Yeah.
Can't wait to start spouting off racist shit because that's what people do when they're on Ambien.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with them.
Yeah, no, it's the drug.
It's the drug, yeah.
Oh, man. Before we get into anything, everyone that's listening to this, go make a free Patreon account because we have the free March episode on our Patreon. It's an exclusive. It's only on Patreon. Go make a free account. You can listen to it from here until the end of time. It is part 3 of God and Murder, the Jonestown story. So
the Jonestown story.
Yeah,
That's
the
the
Jonestown
subtitle.
tapes.
There you go.
Yeah, go check it out. You don't have to pay. It is strictly a free account. It can be free forever. No judgment, but that episode is up on our Patreon. Free to all forever.
Yeah.
So check it out.
Yeah, go listen. Tell us how we did. It was a fun episode. It was a good. Well,
Yeah, it turned out
it was
pretty
a
well.
good episode.
Yeah. It was a feel good episode. It's a surprisingly in the series. It's the only feel good episode. So yeah, I would appreciate it if you did it. Do it for me. Do it for D. How was your week?
Oh, didn't do much. Got a job interview coming up next week, so
good.
Might be quitting the. No, I'm
Yeah, rolling in cash soon enough.
Well, for a month before those student loans start paying, kicking
Right,
back.
for real.
Woo-wee, that's gonna be fun.
Ooh, hooray!
Yeah, no, it's good. I'm excited. A little nervous. I got to do some studying.
Yeah. Touch up.
I got
on
to shave
your
my face.
stuff. Yeah, shave your balls.
I got to shave my balls. It's for the confidence.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, watch Dune in the theater.
Yeah,
The first one.
It was good.
And I'm so glad I got to see that one in the theater.
Yeah.
Because I've seen it before on a TV. But it's different. It's
really
different.
was. It was. It's such a thematic movie. It just kind of works in theaters.
Yeah, it really does. Like the sound.
Suits it better. All the
scale,
lighting,
the lighting,
for the
yeah.
second half of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. I still need to go see the second one. But yeah, simple, easy little week.
Yeah, you?
Yeah, nothing crazy. Took the day off on Friday from work. Took it easy.
Oh, nice.
Was nice. Yeah, just kicked my feet up.
I figured you guys would be gone seeing family today. You guys are gone almost every of this day to go out and see people.
On Sundays?
Yeah, I thought it was. Is it Saturdays?
No.
You guys normally go?
No, we go
swear.
every other Sunday to her parents' place.
Yeah. That's what I was talking about.
But that was last week when we went to her parents.
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm getting all my dates confused because you guys went out of town too.
This is a
threw me
sleepy
off.
AJ episode.
I'm sorry. I'm.
Hey, you're good. No sweat.
No. Yeah. So that's nice.
Yeah. So it's a nice chill weekend. That's why I was like, I'm taking Friday off so that I can just have a relaxed weekend. Fuck it.
I know that. I'm tired because this is a super early episode for us.
Yeah. It's
it's
almost
3 p.m.
here. Yeah. Instead of it almost being 11 p.m.
Yeah, it's quite a difference, quite a change. I'm not used to it. I don't know if I like it. I do.
I love it. I loved recording earlier. I just hate doing notes, and it always takes me so long to like find an episode. But this one specifically, I had like 3 different episodes I wanted to do, but every time I would go to it, I'd be like, man, like I don't know.
I so feel
I just
that.
want to do something different. Like, oh, I found this, but it kind of falls under the scope of what I did like 3 weeks ago. I don't know. And so I ended up searching, and this is like, to give you an idea of how I find my episodes, this is how I do it. I go to Google and I just type in list of industrial disasters, history.
Perfect.
And found a Wikipedia page
Perfect.
that's literally just like military industrial complex.
Oh my
like
God.
defense agency, like hundreds of fucking industrial disasters. So I scroll down, up, down, and just click and go to the
Perfect.
first one. And I was like, and it ended up being a really fucking good one. Found it and read through it and was like, okay, I fuck with this. So yeah, we'll just jump right into it.
Yeah.
But before I do, if you are not already following us on Instagram, go follow. She puts a lot of fucking work into it.
Yeah.
And we'll have images from this episode on there. So check it out. But yeah, so in the early 1900s, I mean, we've talked about it before. There weren't a lot of protections for workers in the U.S. And if you would like to find a preface episode for all of this, go listen to the Radium Girls episode.
Solid. Fantastic episode.
Season 4, episode 10, Lip Dip Paint. And then if you want something more recent, so the U.S. in like the 40s finally fucking caught on to, oh yeah, we should probably make sure workers aren't constantly dying in factories.
Oh, nice.
In other parts of the world, still not really the case. So for a more recent event, we haven't referenced this one ever, I don't think. Go listen to Big Trouble in Little Bhopal.
I was gonna say that.
Season 2, episode 19.
I love that episode.
I think one of our
best early
first,
episodes.
Better episodes. And we did it during the pandemic, so I mean, if you want to flashback to some PTSD moments, go check that
go
one
talk about that.
So yeah, worker protection, we love it here. And I didn't write it down, but AJ actually did. You did your corporate sabotage episode where you just broke down like all the little things you can do to fuck over corporations.
What episode was that?
It was like season 6.
It's
back
Simple
there.
Sabotage.
Yeah,
It's called Simple Sabotage.
Simple Sabotage. Somewhere in season 6. It was like a year ago.
The OSS's guide to simple sabotage in the workplace during World War II that they would give to, like people who were fighting against the Nazi occupation. But it's still 100% relevant if you want to just fuck over your company and never get caught and just raise how much money it costs to run whatever it is. It's really great.
So yeah, a couple little homework pieces for you guys. So going back, the industrial age itself brought on massive production, but it was definitely at the cost of worker safety. I mean, so clearly, since this Wikipedia page listing all of the events of like mass deaths in factories is hundreds of bullet points, it's quite clear how fucking bad worker safety was prior to, I mean, God, even into like the 50s and 60s.
Oh, easily, yeah.
So in 1911 in Manhattan, around this time period that we're going to be talking about, a lot of business owners would buy out or rent multiple floors in buildings, and not always just like the ground floor. Like these companies weren't always based out of like, big factories outside of town. In New York specifically, where we're going to talk, you would get companies that would buy out or rent like story 2, 5, and 6.
Yeah,
and it was just like
work on
weird
those
as shit.
floors.
And they would just load everything in and go from there. Obviously, it's still kind of the case in New York, but when it comes to like production and everything, not nearly as crazy as it used to be. But I mean, I would imagine there's still a lot of situations that are similar to that there. I don't know for certain. I've never been, but like definitely more prevalent back in the early 1900s because everyone wanted to be in fucking New York City when money is just flowing like fucking crazy in the early 1900s. And the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory occupied floors 8, 9, and 10 in the Ash Building, now known as the Brown Building, I believe. And it's like across the street from Washington Park. I don't know. It's I'll find the details for one of our fans that's in New York if you want to go check it out, man. So the shirtwaist itself was a stylized men's button-up shirt that's turned into a blouse for women. So it was a men's button-up shirt. It looked a lot like it, but it was obviously made to be cute and pretty and so fitting to their like corset cinched fucking bodies at the time. And it would have more of like a triangle cut. It still had the little collar, but not so sharp as features as like on a regular men's button-up shirt.
And this was when the button-up shirts were kind of wavy.
Yeah, and they gave it kind of that like puffy blouse look, so that it was fashionable for the time. And the main hires for the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory were young Jewish and Italian immigrant women. Now, at the time, all of these are still absolutely sweatshops.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Most of the people employed are underage girls. These aren't like, everyone's hired above the age of like 16. These are like 12. Potentially 10, 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
All the way up
you know what they
to
say?
Even older.
8-year-old kids, they got those small hands so they can reach into that huge, heavy machinery to unclog it.
Yeah, you don't need a little grabber tool. Fuck that. That costs money.
Yeah, make a kid do it. That means you have to stand up and go do it.
You can get insurance for that kid if he gets injured.
Yeah.
Yeehaw. That's what we love here.
That's the American way.
Yeah. Each of these girls, each of these women, they would be at their sewing machine for 12-hour long shifts. And this is a floor covered in sewing machines, covered in cuts of textile. It's just a complete mess. It's hot as ever living hell.
Yeah.
And just miserable work conditions. God, 12 fucking hours sewing. That would be ass.
I can't do anything for 12 hours.
You're not even like underground, like where it would be at least maybe a little cooler in the summer. No, you're up on like the 7th floor.
You're on the 7th floor of a brownstone.
Yeah. Oh, great. Perfect. Open the windows, I guess. And on average, there were about 500 plus women working per shift.
Woo.
They were paid $15 per week, which comes out to about 18 cents per hour because they were working 7 days a week.
You want me to do the...
I would appreciate it if you pull up the conversion.
Okay,
that
so
would be perfect.
$15 in 1911.
$15 in 1911 and then 18 cents in 1911.
$15 in 1911 to 2024. Calculating. Less than $500. It's $489.
Okay. So $400 per 80 hours worked.
Yeah.
That is shitty.
So then
now look up 18 cents.
0.18. Calculating $5.
So $5 an hour
of spending power, roughly.
Jesus.
But again, things were also a lot cheaper. Not just that's just per inflation. Products themselves in general were more affordable.
And even
Like the
that
cost of living
$5
was more.
an hour
No, I'm
is
saying that's
highway
trash, is what I'm
fucking robbery.
saying. So it's not quite $5.
Yeah, it definitely. I think it would translate
About
closer to
$5.
like $2.50.
Yeah.
So great conditions, phenomenal pay, the American dream. If you're an immigrant, you know, like the 1900s were just so beneficial to so many immigrants. I promise. America was perfect for immigrating. It still is, I swear. But you might say, weren't there women's industrial unions? Wasn't there an international ladies garment workers union?
Union?
That had a strike in 1909? And I would respond, yes, absolutely, those are there. However, our favorite owners are going to step into the scene. Max Blanc and Isaac Harris, both owners and running everything for the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory. They are some of, you know, the greatest people you'll ever meet on earth. They did their best to refuse to meet the demands of the Ladies Garment Workers Union. They would try their damnedest and grind all the time to find women that were willing to be underpaid for their work. You know, they really put in a ton of work for this factory.
For these women who, as I'm finding out, 1 week of 80 hours pay is about what you pay a month in rent. So they're only, like, that first week, that goes right to your rent.
God damn. Fuck
How
that.
awful is that?
And I mean, these two guys really put their nose to the grindstone when they would find politicians to pay off to avoid labor rights. Like, just hardworking men, you know, just the average hardworking individual.
Well, you know, they
and
installed
company owner.
a complaint department. You just write a complaint out, you slide it under the door into the trash compactor.
Yeah, it would fall straight into the shredder. They actually had connections with our favorite NYPD.
Oh, no way.
And they would work directly
For
with
union
them
busting?
to ensure that anyone that was striking would be arrested if they were even close to the offices. Great guys, you know.
Oh,
just some of the
fantastic.
best. And New York's finest as well. NYPD.
They haven't changed much.
Hats off to you. Yeah, you're still as racist as you were in 1911.
Hats off to you. Consistent.
Yeah.
You know what? They're consistent.
You haven't changed.
Yeah.
And so in the early 1900s, if you can't tell, there's a lot of corruption going on. There's a ton of insurance fraud, but specifically in the clothing industry, it's rife with both. You
course.
have massive amounts of corruption and so many fraud pieces of shit that it's just like you could reach into a hat with every textile company's name and you draw out, you would 100% find someone that was a piece of shit, fraud, asshole, scammer. Insurance companies at the time didn't quite have the means to, you know, track down and investigate exactly why a fire started. The fire stations didn't really have the most phenomenal investigators that would look in and go, oh, yes, this was a fucking gas canister left on an oven. Like, they'd be like, maybe it was just a stray match. Like,
No, they accidentally
just
set it down.
Guessing, yeah.
Well, yeah, the fire science and fire behavior has definitely come a long way since, you know,
Oh, big
1911.
time in the last 115 years. And because of that, you know, there's so much overlap that these factory owners are able to just take advantage of, especially when it comes to something that is extremely flammable like cloth. And the owners of Triangle Shirtwaist specifically were known to take such advantage of these insurance schemes. The shirtwaist companies, the factories that were making shirtwaists were kind of on the rise of these insurance fraud itself, because the fashion was slowly starting to die out. This cut and this look of blouse was...
It's like fast fashion.
Yeah, exactly.
Nowadays.
It was like, it's just not, it doesn't sell as well as it used to. And so a lot of these shirtwaist companies are starting to go up in flames or explode or disappear.
They can't,
Yeah.
it's like liquidating the stock.
Yeah.
But the stock is your entire factory because you get money back from it.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not like fucking Max and Isaac were like the most fashionable dudes on the planet.
Yeah.
They're not like, we just came up with a new shirt design that's fashionable. They're like, hey, we know how to make this one shirt design. That's what we've been doing for 10 years. It's phasing out. Okay, well, so are we. And they don't want to fall irrelevant. They don't want to go under and produce more than it costs. So.
Well, at the same time, they can take their profits plus the insurance money and then open a new factory somewhere else
under
a new
else,
style of clothing.
Not even clothing. Go into
or
a
whatever.
completely new, like
industry.
Just change flip everything on its head. Fuck it. Why not? If you burn down one of the buildings, who cares? You just got $100,000.
There you go.
So,
easy peasy.
Max and Isaac specifically, in 1902, they burned down one building and made away like bandits. And this was one of their old shirtwaist factories as well. They just needed, a quick payout.
Yeah.
But obviously, they didn't burn it down. It just so happened
It just
to
burned down.
And it just so happens that the same thing came to light in 1907 and 1910. The Diamond Waist Company that they were running, both of those also happened to burn down, similar to like it did in 1902.
It's a dangerous industry.
Yeah, you can never be too careful. But it's the hazard of the job. It's the hazard of owning these companies is, sometimes these buildings, these old brownstone buildings just go up in flames.
These old brick buildings.
It's impossible to know what could have been causing it.
It's impossible to prevent, too.
Yeah,
There's no way they could have prevented it.
Strangely enough, in every case, and fire insurance had been purchased.
10 minutes before the fire started, they bought fire insurance.
Yeah. And it was noted in every single case that no sprinkler system was installed to help prevent these, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, but that's okay. They don't have to do that,
It's the old
It's a free
buildings.
country.
It costs too much to put those in. You don't know how long they're going to be at that building before it inevitably
it's
catches
going
fire.
to catch fire,
And the thing that really stands out about these fires is that they always seem to happen outside of regular business hours. So there were never any victims. It was
nice.
It was a victimless, not even crime.
It was a victimless
accident.
There you go.
And I mean, because you have 500 women that are in these buildings at any given moment during business hours, I mean, you don't want to be an insurance scammer and a murderer, right? Like,
right?
God,
Yeah.
that's a fucking
too far.
nightmare.
That's too far.
Yeah.
I'd rather just put hundreds of women out of work every year.
Yeah, and then,
And then rehire them at another place.
for lower wages. So on March 25th, 1911, there are close to 600 women on the Saturday afternoon shift. It's about 4:30 p.m., and it's not entirely confirmed as to where the fire started, whether it was at the base of one of the workstations or in a rag bin. Just suddenly there's a small fire. And all these women are like, oh, God, this is bad news because we have, cotton shirt
cotton
material
clothing everywhere,
and scraps of it,
and 500
everywhere.
women,
and hanging from the ceiling are shirts that are being hung up so that they aren't getting wrinkled. This place is just a fire's
wet dream, dry dream.
Dry dream. Now I will say neither Max nor Isaac seem to be responsible for this. They're working up on the highest floor. They're up on the 10th floor. They actually, and this is why I don't believe that they set any of this up. I will come to their defense in this specific event for now.
Wow, D is a capitalist defender.
So both of them were having like basically all of like the administration. It was like, bring your family to work day. And so they have their families with them. They have their wives and everything. They're showing them around their little office. And they're like, oh, yeah, you know, like this is where Papa works. Meanwhile, like the 2 floors below them and behind the door on the 10th floor, these women that are just like literally dying at their sewing
being
machines.
sewn into the shirts. Yeah.
God. They're like, oh, we'll just dye this shirt blood red because it'll match Susie's blood. Big deal.
Perfect.
Yeah, so that's my personal opinion. I don't think that they set this up or they were trying
it's
to
the perfect cover.
Yeah, they had just bought life insurance policies
No,
on
they
their
could
entire
just
family.
go to the judge and say, no, why would I light the fire if I knew my family was going to be here?
Totally fair. Absolutely. I just see this and I go, I don't know. But regardless, fuck these guys. In all facets, fuck these dudes. Specifically because when this fire goes up, the women are like, okay, we don't have a sprinkler system, so we need to quickly put this out before it gets out of hand. So they run over to where the fire hose is on this floor, and they're like, hey, we got this. No biggie. They grab the hose, run it over, turn it on, twist the valve. And they go to twist the valve. Unfortunately, the valve is rusted over.
Nice.
And so there's a bit of a mad scramble to just smack the ever-living hell out of this valve to open it up, which they managed to do. Fantastic. And the water, well, it should be rushing through the hose and out the spout. But you know, it's a really old hose, and it's kind of been sitting and rotting for a little while, so the water just kind of goes through, and the hose just bursts and falls apart.
Nice.
And suddenly the fire just continues growing.
Oh, yeah. Fire doubles every minute.
It goes quick.
It goes
especially
very fast.
when you have a lot of clothes everywhere.
Yeah.
And so panic kind of starts to set in. Some guy... what was it? I think it was like an accountant or something, like calls up to the first floor. He gets on his little old school telephone.
Operator, connect me to the first floor.
It looks like there might be a fire on floor 8. And so Max and Isaac take their families and they rush up the stairs, get to the roof, and literally jump over to the next building.
Okay.
The building next door.
All right,
cool. Good for them.
That's a way out. That's a way out I wouldn't have thought of.
Yeah. But a lot of the women that are working on the floor, not really, they didn't really have the greatest escape routes.
Yeah.
But in all the panic, like you're not going to go, oh, I should run up to get out.
You're never going to think
Plus,
up to get out.
I highly doubt that any of them were even allowed up there, so they don't even know that that's a fucking option.
Yeah.
The fire marshal after the fact suggested that it was a lit match from smoking, which I guess wasn't allowed on the floor. Okay. He also was like, oh, maybe it was a cigarette bum that ignited everything, and I'm like, no, I don't
so
think
he literally has no idea.
Yeah,
it's not that he found a burned match or a cigarette butt.
This goes straight back to what we talked about with insurance companies. The fire marshal himself was like, it could have been any number of things. It could have been, all the machines do get hot. Maybe a spark from one of the machines landed on the pile of textiles below this woman's working, like her little working area. Nobody really fucking knows.
Yeah, I can tell.
But, it could have been entirely prevented if safety precautions were in place, if, a working hose was there,
Sprinkler
systems were there.
Any kind of fire protection system.
And it also maybe could have notified all the women on the 9th floor if there was, a fire alarm anywhere in the building that they could have pulled.
Fire
those
escapes.
weren't there. So I will get to those.
No, I know a little bit about those at this time period.
So after these women realize that they have no way of putting this fire out, they're like, okay, we need to get the fuck out of this building. And they rush over to the elevators and the staircase and the fire exit. There are a lot of different ways to get down to the base floor.
Elevator out of order.
Yeah, right.
Stairs out of order.
I did forget to mention there are 4 elevators in this building, which is big for the time. That's a lot of elevators.
That's a lot of elevators.
Unfortunately, only one of them works.
That's how they get you.
The other 3 aren't quite working. And it can only hold and support the weight of 12 people. So, I mean, that's only a lot of trips. It's only 50 trips total.
Yeah, that's all.
Not a huge deal,
Yeah.
And it only has to go down, 8 floors and then 9 floors and then 10 floors. Whatever. No biggie.
Yeah, done in a jiffy.
There are 2 full staircases, so that's a plus. It's 8 floors. You got to move fast, but if you're quick, you might be okay. It's better than waiting for the elevator.
Yeah. If you get trampled, good luck.
However, one of the sets of stairs is locked because, Max and Isaac don't want Union people sneaking in through the stairs and coming up and recruiting. They don't want these women taking these beautiful blouses and stealing them. So we'll lock one and we'll have the other one monitored. And there will be a guy down at the bottom with the key to let women in and out. No biggie, just in case. So the doors are locked on one set. The other, it's open. It's okay. In and out, we're okay. So a lot of women rush over to the stairs to get out. The fire escape itself, also an option to get down and out of the building. Unfortunately, it's too small to, get 600 women out in, less than 6 hours.
Yeah.
Because you can really only put one person at a time through the fire escape.
They're very narrow.
And it's basically you can have maybe 3 or 4 of them on the fire escape at a time, or else it's just going to fall, and then the fire escape isn't an option anymore. So that we have some options to get down, I guess, but not really a good and efficient way of getting out of the Ash building, which is quite fitting for the name.
That's quite a name, yeah.
It's fine. This is fine.
It's fine, though. They got it under control.
Biggie.
They got it under control.
Like I said, Max and Isaac, their families and some of the administrators, they're all safe, luckily.
Yeah. They got to the other building.
A fire alarm 5 minutes after the fire has started.
That's so long for a fire.
A fire alarm was pulled down across the street outside because someone was walking by and saw smoke coming out of one of the windows.
Okay.
I mean, this fire's been going for 5 minutes at this point.
That's a
they
big
see
fire.
Smoke and they're like, oh shit, pull the fire alarm, and the fire department responds. But yeah, like I said, unfortunately there just didn't happen to be a fire alarm because this building might have needed to be burned down in the off hours at some point.
Yeah, why would you install it?
Why have that kind of safety precaution,
Yeah.
when you already have fire insurance on the place?
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it burns down.
Who cares? So when firefighters arrive on the scene, they show up with their super long ladders and everything. All should be well, except for the fact...
Except that they're firefighters in 1911.
They're firefighters in 1911, and it just fucking happens to be that their ladders only reach the 7th floor.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So
honestly,
instead of getting one floor higher where the fire has started,
Well, let's hope they go down to the 7th floor.
Yeah, maybe they can hop out the window and we'll catch them and climb
in a giant blanket.
Yeah, well, they just hop into our arms while we're holding tightly onto the ladder. No biggie. So yeah, the firefighters don't really have a great option to get these women to safety via the windows because they can't fucking reach them. And I don't know
Well, they
about
never
you.
thought that they would need more than 7 stories worth of ladder.
God, for real. So yeah, and on top of that, being able to fight the fire straight on by getting up to the 8th and the 9th floors, like you're not able to get your ladder up there and shoot in through the window and put the fire out. So suddenly you've got to wait for it to burn down to the 7th floor to be able to shoot straight in through the windows. It's a
That's useful.
bad setup. We'll just
not
put
great.
it that way. So eventually the fire ends up melting and buckling the elevator rails. Now, elevators at the time are operated by like one guy that's like working in the elevator, crank, going up and down. And
He's got the hand crank.
Yeah. And so as soon as those buckle, it's not like he's just going to like, crash past them.
Yeah,
and
you
get
can't do
up.
anything.
It buckles and he's like, I can't get above, the 7th floor now. Like this is bad news. So as they buckle and these women waiting for elevators are starting to get really fucking hot and burn.
They're starting to get warm up there.
They're seeing that the elevator's not coming back up, and so they pry the elevator doors open. Women are starting to grab onto the rails and the cables and just slide down. Because it is getting so hot, though, a lot of women are trying to rush into these. Some women are being pushed into the elevator shaft. Some are just straight jumping, hoping that,
Well, I hope the elevator's not too low.
Maybe I'll land on another body. Maybe I'll just break my legs, but I'm not going to be burned alive.
Yeah, at least I'm alive.
Yeah. So a lot of them are jumping and falling into this elevator bay. Now, because of that, these elevators are very likely made out of wood. And so the weight of all of these bodies landing on top of the elevator itself bows out the sides, and suddenly the elevator can't even shift upwards it wouldn't really be going down because it's definitely at the bottom now. But now even getting up to the 7th floor isn't an option.
Yeah.
And so elevator completely useless at this point. So despite maybe being like one of the better options, unfortunately, of getting these women out, it's cut. And so we go to the ladies that are, rushing down the stairs. They get to the bottom of the stairway, and unfortunately, the guy that lets women in and out, when he realized there was a fire, he was like, "Oh, I'm out of here."
Nice.
He's the only guy with a key.
Solid.
And he didn't have the foresight to, unlock the fucking door before he left. So these women get to the bottom of the stairs, and it's locked. And it's not really an easy one to just break down.
Yeah.
So a lot of these women trek back up the stairs hoping, hey, maybe I can hop in line for the elevators, not knowing what's going on. And as they're heading back up, a bunch of these women that took the stairs that now realize they don't have a way out are being burned alive because they get caught in the fire that's slowly burning the entire building down.
Yeah.
Towards them. Just a fucking, like, the worst imaginable situation for these women that are dying at work that never valued them in the first place.
Man, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's a bad, bad fucking look. So when word gets back that, hey, you can't take the stairs, you can't take the elevator, we can't take the fucking fire exit because it's just not, you're going to die if you climb into it. A lot of these women think my only option is to jump out the window and hope I land on just my legs.
Something soft.
Maybe just my legs will break.
Aim for the bushes.
Maybe I'll land on a tree. Who knows? Maybe a firefighter will catch me. 60 plus women start jumping out of the building. And I mean, there are a ton of people watching. It's a fire burning in New York City. People are standing outside watching, and suddenly bodies are just jumping out the windows. 60 women jump out the windows and die. It's fucking terrible. And over the course of, it takes 18 minutes for everything to kind of peter out, settle down. It's all over. It's deemed, the fires burned the building pretty much well down, or at least the floors that people were in. After 18 minutes, 150 women are killed. 30 of them died jumping down 30 plus died jumping down the elevator shaft to escape. Like I said, 60 died jumping out of windows. 50 were burned alive or died to the smoke on those floors. And then just a handful died later due to their injuries. Max and Isaac specifically, they were initially indicted on charges of manslaughter, but over the course of the trial and the case, it was deemed that they weren't technically responsible. However, their gross negligence was brought up, and they were required to pay each family $75 for their lost loved ones. So you said $15 was $400.
Something like that.
So that's like $2,000 per family.
Oh, so that
out.
I like that they just definitively put the price on a working woman in 1911.
So they pay each family in 2024 money about $2,000, $2,000 to $3,000, and say, hey, sorry for your loss. Here's a really shitty, this is going to pay for half of a month's rent in New York.
Yeah, you can get a real nice
alleyway box.
you could get a 10-year-old Geo Metro. There you go.
I hate but love comparing how much money it is for just used shitty old cars, using that as the comparison.
That's the comparison,
because it if you imagine these guys just show up to somebody's house in 2024 and they're like, hey, here's a 1998 Ford Focus, sorry your mom died.
Yeah, sorry your mom died.
here's a car that has transmission issues.
Yeah. Here's a car that's over 200,000 miles and has transmission issues.
Go to hell.
Hey, but we replaced the serpentine belt,
and one of the tires is a spare.
Yeah,
and it's flat. That's all. It's flat. However, Max and Isaac, when they got their insurance money back, they were paid $400 per worker casualty, and it totaled a difference after paying the families and after getting their insurance. They ended up making $60,000.
Oh, so that's a net positive.
Yeah. They made that's a $325 fucking difference.
Yeah, so if you just told me
work or death. And these guys were like, "Oh, we're going to pocket it." Why the fuck wouldn't they?
No, if you told me that this story continues, they open a factory, burn it to the ground, purposely locking everyone inside and making it an inescapable hellhole, I'd believe you, because that's a profit.
So it was brought up, and the reason they had to pay the $75 is because Max is the one that locked those doors.
Ooh, nice.
Bad look for Max, and he actually got fined $20 in the future at another business for locking a company door that wasn't supposed to be locked prior to an incident. And they were like, okay. So there are a lot of people that do think that these two set this shit up. That they were like, hey, we can get a huge payout, because it's not like they only got $60,000 in payout money for the casualties. They also got paid out for all of everything that burned down.
Yeah, the stock, the lost revenue.
Yeah, that $60K is only
rent
for the casualties.
Yeah, so
I can't even imagine
mint.
how much more they made. But I mean, that shit stacks fast. So yeah, they were a lot of people took them to court even after all of this, and were like, hey, they fucking did this themselves. They intended to kill these people, but they were never charged beyond having to compensate the families with pennies. 10 days later, on April 5th, or 11 days, I don't know, fuck it, a union march was actually put together to protest bad working conditions, and 80,000 people attended.
Damn.
All of these deaths and the march actually led to the New York governor and a New York senator to begin reforming working condition policies. The fire prevention law was put together later that year, and it led to the creation of the Safety Society. It was called the 54-hour work bill, was proposed and put in place, which ensured fewer working hours per week because of this event and because of tons of other events that happened over the course of that year. It directly led to it led to that 54-hour work week bill. God, can you imagine? They're like, hey, we're gonna cut you down 30 hours per week, and you still have to work 54 fucking hours. The Factory Investigating Commission was created to investigate and prevent workplace accidents and deaths, and that in and of itself led to 38 new laws regarding working conditions, safer working conditions. So all in all, as fucking terrible as the Triangle Shirtwaist fire was, it did in turn lead to much better legislation, much better conditions. Unfortunately, everything in the U.S. is reactive rather than proactive.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, actually, yeah.
These 150 women should have never died in the first place. These should have been in place long before this. It should have been in place as soon as the industrial age was fucking booming. It shouldn't have taken 70 plus years to figure out, we should, maybe take safety into account. The last living survivor lived to the age of 107. She died in 2001, and she was
on an airplane.
She worked on the 10th
cutters.
floor, and she did escape alongside Max and Isaac. However, she was a lifelong union supporter and activist because of this. So despite working up on the 10th floor, despite knowing that was an option to escape, this is how it should work. This is how you should respond to these situations rather than, hey, I survived. I don't know what their fucking problem was, but I work in administration. I'll double down and support the owners. Support your fucking fellow workers, especially in an instant like this. And a memorial was actually built. Like I said, it's called like the Brown Building. But on the corner of that building, they have this like steel ribbon that kind of fits down in the corner, and it goes from the 9th floor where the majority of these women jumped out, where the 60 women had jumped out. I think it was just a few windows that they had jumped out of, probably because they were cornered into that by the fire. But it's covered in volunteers' textile designs and everything. It kind of follows down in the corner. When I looked at it initially, all of the names, I was like, why the fuck are these printed backwards? But so the memorial goes down the corner, and then it goes along the edge of both sides, and they have the names printed on the underside. And then below, they have angled mirrors so that you can just walk up and look at the mirror, and it reflects the name above.
Okay. That makes
really
sense.
fucking cool.
That's cool.
And they also have like a plaque, but all 146 names are on there. And it's like just held as one of like the biggest events for switching workers' rights during such an unfortunate worker disaster time period. But yeah, so luckily it led to a lot of new legislation that helped people.
That should have been in
Unfortunately, it
existence
should
already.
have never happened in the first place. So yeah, fuck Max and Isaac.
Yeah, fuck those guys. Maxon,
Yeah, Max and Isaac.
Max and Isaac.
Yeah.
Max and Isaac. Yeah. Fuck them. They should have. I bet they had a little hole from the 10th floor, and they would just flick their cigarette butts.
Yeah.
They used that as
That
an
was their
ashtray.
match hole.
Yeah, their ashtray. So all the women would just be getting ashed the whole time, and a hot one drop down there.
That's why they called it the Ash Building.
Yeah.
Fuck them.
'Cause yeah.
If you would like to go listen to our exclusive episode from March, which came out on April
March,
1st.
the last day of March.
Yeah, it came out on
April
March
Fools.
33rd.
It was just a joke.
Yeah, it came out on March 33rd. So
Yeah.
check that out. Go to our Patreon, set up a free account. I know that Patreon, you hear Patreon and you're like, oh shit, that's paid. We do have free accounts on there. You have access to, I think, a couple of sloppy seconds if you make an account to check it out. And an entire
I think there are
hour-long
two
special.
exclusives that are free right now.
Something like that.
I think of the very first one
I think
and
so.
this one.
So yeah, go make an account, check it out. And for those of you that are already on there, or if you would be interested in supporting us, we do an exclusive episode every single month. We have like 30 plus sloppy seconds that are on there. AJ has his series called Voices. So check all of it out. We'd appreciate your support. And if you can't afford it, that's A-okay. We're just glad that you're listening here. You got those names of the many, names of the few.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Yeah. So we got the chair people. We really should have come up with a better name for that.
Just change it.
Nah.
Just change it to the board.
The board.
Yeah.
Minnie D, Thomas, and Toddle Waddle. Thank you guys so much. They want to know that we are allowed to have a union, but negotiating. The board does not negotiate with group action.
Yeah, but if we start unionizing as the creators, they're going to lock us out of the studio.
Yeah.
That's how.
And burn it down with us.
Yeah.
And then we've got Abby, AJ's Third Nut, Nordic Thunder, Weston, Dark Runner, D's Nuts, G-Dog, Hayden, Laura Revo, and Lindo. Thank you all so much. We really appreciate it. You let us keep doing this, having fun.
Yeah, you guys are fantastic. We would not be to where we are without you guys. So thank you so much for your support. And as always, if you guys ever have any recommendations for music, movies, TV shows, books, magazines, articles, show ideas, anything along those lines, if you would like to just send us. If you'd like to just send us
Ignore
memes,
that.
I don't think it even got picked up.
Oh, God.
If you'd like to send us memes or anything that's pertinent to our episodes, anything like that, reach out to us on Instagram at pointsofpressure. Go to our website, pointsofpressure.com, and go to the fucking contact us page. Send us an email or voicemail, whatever you'd like, and we'll catch you guys next Monday.